Hi everyone. Today's deep dive Saturday video, I want to talk about our wants and desires. And I think that wants and desires are something that so many of us are carrying forward, all these beliefs and judgment and guilt and shame around having wants and desires, because literally for generations, literally through a large part of our modern ancestry, right? We were taught from a societal perspective, from a familial tribe perspective, from a religious perspective, that wanting or desiring things is wrong. And so it's associated with all this really bad stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of guilt and shame and self-judgment around having wants and desires. And, I'm not excluded in that at all. I certainly realize that my own personal story and narrative, much like I would guess 80 to 90, if not more percent of you out there watching this, has this self-story that constantly says you shouldn't really want things, you shouldn't desire things, you should be happy with what you have. If it was meant to be yours, then it would be yours, right? We hear that all the time. But what if that really needed to start with you having a creative thought, which is a want or a desire? That's just, somewhere we're going to go with this. But I think that it's ingrained in us that this is selfish, that there's just all these really bad negative feelings around wanting or desiring something. And, I've come to more recently, and I've had an awareness about it for probably at least 4 or 5 years, that I too carry a pretty pronounced story about wanting and desiring things. And that, I think a lot of people also carry around a story that you can't have what you want, you can't get what you want, it's not good to get what you want. A lot of people, it's really tied to their religion and their belief around God. And I've been studying the Way of Mastery as part of some things that I'm doing right now for myself, because I'm constantly also learning, expanding, trying to change my ideas around things, right? But I realized that through some readings there, that wants and desires are really the creative starting point for all things. Like, even if you want to break it down into a religious perspective, like, didn't God want to see what he could create? Didn't he have a desire to create all of these things that are us, our planet, our universe, right? Like, there always is this intrinsic, there has to be this spark of want or desire before anything can be created from it. Like, even the idea that need is the mother of invention, but it wasn't just a need. They had to want or desire to fix that need, to change that need, to improve that, how that need is met. That's not, the want and desire had to be there first. It had to be there first. And that's where all this creativity comes from. This stuff that creates all things, right? It creates the money that pays our bills. It creates the way that we connect with others. It creates the way that we choose to decorate our home or ourselves or our bodies. It's the way that we choose to feed ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally. All of this comes from want and desire. And much like people that go on a diet, when you try and deprive yourself of something, it becomes a thing that you think of most and that you obsess about. And then you move into this space of lack, right? And I think for those that follow sort of the whole law of attraction, Abraham Hicks things. Like, this is something that they talk about also, right? That want and desire is not bad. It's actually a navigational gear that allows us to keep shifting that so that we can say yes to one thing and no to something else. What the problem with it is, and where people, I think, get confused and hung up, and then they start to think, well, I shouldn't have wants or desires, is that they become obsessed with it, and then you move into this space of lack, and this space where you can't stop thinking about the fact that you don't have what you want or desire. So, I think that the important thing here is, like I said, I kind of go back to this analogy with people being on a diet. And so if you will start to embrace and allow yourself to have wants and desires and to see them and acknowledge them and embrace them and love them and go, okay, this is telling me that where I am, like, because I want or desire this, and this is telling me that where I am right now is not okay. And so how can I start to create shifts, changes, choices, options, opportunities that get me more to this space where I want and desire to be, or to obtain this thing that I want and desire, right? I think that this is a conversation like any of the other ones that I bring, but maybe this one a little bit more so far. I would super, super, super love to have a conversation with anyone that wants to join in about, if there's something that you want to comment or share, please do so below. If it's really private and you want to, by all means, you're welcome to send me a direct message. And as always, as I close this out, please, please, please share with me any ideas you might have for a deep dive conversation that you'd like me to address and get kicked off for you. And please share this with your friends. Maybe it's a conversation you all can start having together. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your weekend.